Okay, this is one of many videos that I have collected concerning the rapture, the pre-trib rapture specifically. Where did the rapture theology come from? Have you ever wondered that? Have you ever asked that? Would you be surprised to learn that the pre-trib rapture is less than 200 years old? Have you ever heard of dispensationalism? A doctrine where the scriptures are to be divided between those scriptures that apply to Jews and those to Gentiles. Have you ever heard of that? Stay tuned.
So where did dispensationalism come from? Let me tell you the story. First thing to be said about a dispensational reading of the Bible is it didn't exist before the 19th century. In fact, it didn't exist before about 1820 or so. And it really began in a little revival in Glasgow in Scotland. And there was a teenage girl named MacDonald, a good Scottish name, who claimed to have a vision of a pre-tribulation rapture of the church out of this world into heaven. Now, this event might have come and gone and not left much of a mark on the church itself, except that there was a certain reverend named Darby there who heard this, became convinced that this theology was correct, began preaching this, and Reverend Darby was one of the founders of the Plymouth Brethren denomination in the 19th century. Now again, this might have been a flash in the pan, a very small Christian sect with a peculiar belief that nobody in the first 1800 years of church history had believed in, except that Mr. Darby took his gospel of the rapture to the United States. And he came.
Okay, so this is rapture doctrine. Why don't we ever hear about the second coming? Since the 70s, in my experience, it's been rapture, rapture, rapture. Never or rarely second coming.
Contact with the Billy Graham of his day. His name was Dwight L. Moody, the founder of the Moody Bible Institute and Moody Press and all of that. Moody became the sort of worldwide disseminator of this theology of dispensationalism and a pre-tribulation rapture on both sides.
This I didn't know. I didn't know that Moody. I have a book or two, I think, by him. I did not know he was affected and on the front lines for the pre-trib rapture movement.
The Atlantic, and for a very long time, and then we were off and running. What happened next is there began to be novels, not the Left Behind series, but earlier novels. One was called Jesus is Coming, written by a Chicago entrepreneur who had become enamored with this theology of Dwight L. Moody. Moody Institute, founded in Chicago. He had a lot of influence in Chicago. Then even later than that, we have what is known as the Scofield Reference Bible. C.I. Scofield is the person who came up with this idea of not merely having a study Bible with chain references in the margin, but actually putting headings in the biblical text, like Jesus predicts the rapture, and then having study notes at the bottom of the page so that the ordinary person who buys a Bible would go, well, look, it's right there in my Bible. The heading in the middle of Matthew 24 says Jesus predicts the rapture. It must be true, right? So we're really off to the races now in the early part of the 20th century with the Scofield Reference Bible and other resources. Somewhere in the mid-20s, this lay theological movement, and I would stress, this was a theological movement not based on the study of the Greek New Testament or the Hebrew Old Testament, but a lay theological movement that spread throughout the United States and in various places around the world.
Okay, to be continued.